not talking about the show, as the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, have extended their head coach, Nick Sirianni. The details, from what I could find, have not come out yet, as it has just been reported as a multi-year contract extension with the Eagles and Sirianni. And in 4 seasons as the Eagles head coach, Nick Sirianni is a Super Bowl champion, has made 2 Super Bowl appearances. He's made the playoffs every year, 48-20 in the regular season, and he has the highest regular season winning percentage among active head coaches at 706, meaning he has won 70% of his games through 4 seasons in the NFL. And I just wanted to also just read, when it comes to this multi-year contract extension between the Eagles and Nick Sirianni, I wanted to read what the Eagles chairman and CEO, Jeffrey Lurie, said about it. As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture of sustained success. Nothing is more important to fostering such an environment than having tremendous leadership. Nick has embodied everything we were looking for in a head coach since we hired him 4 years ago. His authentic style of leadership, football intelligence, passion for the game, and growth mindset have helped to bring out the best in our team. I'm excited for what the future holds for the Philadelphia Eagles. And so, Kevin, we just had a passionate discussion about Toddy and I's favorite team, San Francisco 49ers. Now, when it comes to your favorite team, the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, what do you think about them extending Nick Sirianni?
Deservedly so. Shaun mentioned all the numbers. I got some other numbers that Shaun did not mention. Highest winning percentage
of course he does.
by a head coach in the Super Bowl era. You guys know who Vince Lombardi is?
Oh, yes.
75% winning percentage. John Madden, 73.9. You guys have played Madden before, right? Who's third on that list? Shaun mentioned it, 70.1 winning percentage, Nick Sirianni. It's easy to say that, oh, Kevin, you got AJ, you got Saquon. They all ain't been there for 4 years. He took shit to the playoffs. Yes, we lost 35-15. Yes, I get it. We were a bad team, but you're not going to sit around in Philadelphia and say we weren't good because we didn't have the weapons. So I know we're catching up on time here, so I'm going to be short.
What was the Dan Campbell debate, Kevin? We had it was a couple of years ago. It was like Dan Campbell versus Sirianni, and they basically were kind of around the same as far as wins go. I think people were leaning more towards Dan Campbell because his team was kind of trending upwards. I think this was a little bit right before you guys signed Saquon Barkley, and then basically exploded, and then went to the Super Bowl, made everything happen. But I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. I wanted to circle back to that because that was a topic that kind of really fired you up. And these are 2 NFC coaches, 2, I'd say, really good NFC coaches. One now has a Super Bowl, but at the time it was kind of like, who would you rather have? I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you think Sirianni is as a whole in the landscape of NFL coaches goes.
NFL coaches, he's the second best coach in the NFL.
Okay. Number 2.
Yep. Only person I'm going to give is Big Red.
Big Red. McVay's not in there. There's Harbaugh, Tomlin. There are guys like that.
McVay was a one-hit wonder. Tomlin ain't really Tomlin. I mean, he's won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, that's congrats. But I mean, how many years has it been?
I was like,
okay. How many years has it been?
So you're wondering where what have you done for me lately, type of guy?
It's not what have you done for me lately. What have you done for me in the decade?
Okay, decade.
Well, that's a long time of 9 and 8 seasons, 1 game in the playoff losses. Kyle Shanahan's always praised for being this offensive mind. What does his hardware look like?
I mean, and then there's other guys too, like younger coaches. There's D'Amico Ryans up and coming. There's John Harbaugh, a guy who's been there several times. McDermott's another guy that we like to mention, who I was blanking on earlier. But I mean, just you're putting in. I mean, this is a guy, Nick Sirianni, whose job was kind of under. A lot of people were kind of very skeptical on if they didn't perform after the Saquon contract. Guys were kind of calling for his job.
Don't let Twitter trolls like me make you think that. No one was
like
the seat was hot, because if Kyle Shanahan can go 6-11 keeping a job, Nick Sirianni could win 2 games to keep a job. So,
or Nick Sirianni can flame out from a 10-1 season into wild card loss.
And what was the finishing record, Shaun?
Yeah, wasn't it like 11-5 or something like that?
And then you said
11,
wild
11
card, right? So that means we made the dance.
Yes.
Can't hear you from outside the dance.
Well, Kevin,
when I promised I'd pay for my ticket, I look at my receipt. I have it right here. You can't get in. You don't 6 games don't get you into the dance.
While I understand the point that you're making there, like this is so ironic that Toddy and I are getting the torture of our 6-11 season all throughout this very long offseason that we've had thus far, is because we were roasting you last season for how the Eagles ended their season. And so now it's deserved how we are getting it dished back for our 6-11.
You can sit here and roast me, but like I told you last season, 15, 17 teams would prefer to go 10-1 and burn out. And that means they did something good. The Jacksonville Jaguars would have preferred that. The Browns, the Giants.
Love that.
Oh.
The Cardinals. A lot of teams would have preferred to go 10-7. A lot of teams would have preferred that because that's a winning season. A lot of teams can't say they have winning seasons. So to say that is insane. I don't see how serious.
Kevin is reading the for audio only listeners.
He's a raw guy with a super team.
Hold on, Kevin. Go ahead. Start and read the comment. Yeah, go ahead.
So James. So Lil Shame 17th. I don't see how Sirianni could be a top coach. He doesn't run the offense or defense. He's a raw guy with a super team. James, you're on the live. Pull up 2021 Eagles roster and record and come back and comment and tell me if that's a super team.
We're not talking about 21. We're talking about.
But I'm saying he's only a raw guy with a super team. He's gone to the Shaun mentioned. He's gone to the playoffs every year he's been there. We haven't had.
They win the Super Bowl in 2021.
Raw team every season he's been there. So for you to say he's only good as a raw guy when we're good is completely wrong.
Who's calling the plays this year?
Kevin Patino or not Patino? That's definitely not his name.
Kevin doesn't know.
He's our
Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is calling the defense. I would assume that he's one of the top defensive. He was a head coach at one point in time, so I respected him. Kevin and I and Shaun and I respect him as a defensive mind. So we knew what he was going to bring to the table. It kind of came down to what Kellen Moore was going to bring because he made a lateral move from going from, I believe it was L.A. with the Chargers and Justin Herbert, and kind of go be the OC for the Eagles. And we kind of were like on the fence about what he was going to look like because he was with the Dallas Cowboys, then he was with the Chargers, and then him making another lateral move to go into the Eagles. It ended up paying off for him because they ended up winning the Super Bowl, obviously. But Sirianni has been a guy in the past who was calling plays, and he relinquished that duty and said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to focus more on the team. So I think Cousin James brings up a valid point, and he doesn't call plays. He doesn't do this, but he still is able to get his team to win these types of games and in critical situations to win, make those types of 4th and 3. I'm going to give Sirianni a little bit more credit than he deserves. I don't know if he's a top 2 coach in the league. I get he just won a Super Bowl, but I think there are other guys in the NFL that I'd rather have.
Like Dan Campbell, right? Who doesn't call plays.
Dan Campbell?
Yeah, he doesn't do shit. But
he does it. So he's another guy that you have to look at because his coordinators are now gone. So you're going to have to look at him from another light of hiring the right offensive, defensive coordinators to make his team and make that engine still run the same way because they were a team, I'd say, the year that before that they kind of bubbled and burst onto the scene, they were kind of like scrapping to get to be that last team in the playoffs when they played against the Packers, which was Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer, if I'm not mistaken. And they won that game. People were like, watch out for the Lions. And then the Lions kind of burst onto the scene. So now that both of his coordinators are now gone, you're going to have to look at that same team and be like, how good are they actually going to be when those guys aren't calling plays anymore?
So, Shaun, I saw that you made a comment. I want you to give me your top 5 coaches in the NFL.
All right. So, and for the audio only listeners, my comment, I commented on our YouTube feed because I wanted to test a little bit of this new technology we got. We got a beta version of showing comments on the stage, as we can see in the bottom right corner. So I'll have to redesign the backdrop graphics so then we can start seeing everyone's comments feed through without us needing to display them. As we see, James had his comment just come through. So we're work on the background. Anyway, sorry, that was just the technical aspect of it. My comment is Sirianni deserved to be extended, but he's not top 2. So, Kevin, I heard you when I had to step away for a moment. You were saying that Big Red, a.k.a. Andy Reid, is number 1, and then you got Sirianni too. For me, I'm going to take Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh.
Not 2.
Well, okay.
Let him do his list, and we can all
maybe I don't put Mike Tomlin at number 2, but I'm just saying
who I have on that shit. Don't let him get in your head. If you say 2, he's 2.
No. I would probably put John Harbaugh number 2 because he has a more recent Super Bowl title than Mike Tomlin. But I was just naming coaches that I'd rather have. Okay, so I'd rather have Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, and this next one's kind of tough. I want to name Kyle Shanahan, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl championship. I would take Sean McVay over Nick Sirianni. I would take
another guy who's only
Sean Payton. I would take Sean Payton.
Another guy who only has 1 good season.
Okay. As of right now, Nick Sirianni has 1 Super Bowl ring to show for it. Like, yeah, he made 2 Super Bowl appearances and he lost. Kyle Shanahan did that too. And no one gives a shit about Kyle Shanahan's record. And so I think I just named 6 guys. I would take those 6 guys over Sirianni.
That's not the question you asked. You said he wasn't top 2. Those are guys you prefer to have. You didn't say this is my top 5 guys.
All right. Here's my top 5 guys. Number 1, Andy Reid. Number 2, John Harbaugh. Number 3, Mike Tomlin. Number 4, Sean McVay. And number 5, I'm going to put Sean Payton in there.
So what has Sean McVay done that Nick hasn't done?
To me, Sean McVay has...
Not to you. Let's stick to the facts. What has Sean McVay done that Nick hasn't?
Okay, so now we're just looking straight up at resumes?
Yeah. What has he done that Nick hasn't?
I mean, you make a fair point, but to me, when like the way in which you asked the question, great. Like that was like some lawyer shit right there, the way you framed it. Like perfect. But so to answer your question, I don't have a response because you're right. Like I don't have a response as to what McVay has done that Sirianni hasn't. But the reason why I would take McVay over Sirianni is because McVay is the guy out there calling the plays. And to me, he's built more of a sustained winner. And also what we've seen from Sean Payton, where Sean Payton has not only done it in New Orleans, but then he went to Denver, which wasn't working out quite well. And he's revitalized that team. And as Toddy's displaying the comments from Cousin James on the screen right now, I'll just take a moment to read them for the audio-only listeners.
No, let me do this one.
Okay.
So James took what I said and said, let me look it up. God damn it, Kevin got me. Let me just mention the 3 seasons, but let me not mention the 4th season. So good job, James. You know how to Google, and you backed out because he's been there for 4 years, but you only want to mention 3 when we were really, really good. So that's cute. That we went with a bad team to the playoffs, but you don't want to give him the credit, and that's fine. That's fine, James. But the comment was, my point is he always had talent around him, which is false. I was talking about these last 3 seasons. We understand because you looked up the 4th season and said, damn it, Kevin, he got me. He's a pep talk guy. He makes sure his team is always ready to play and that the players love. Don't all NFL teams want coaches that NFL players love? I mean, isn't that the rule? But Nick gets punished for it. But if Dan Campbell would have won a Super Bowl, he would have been praised from the mountaintops. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I do think that the key difference there when it comes to Nick Sirianni or Dan Campbell is that where they are. Dan Campbell is in a place that has never won. Nick Sirianni, they've won as recent as
they won 1 time. Just because they never did it and we did it once doesn't make it. He's not.
But you've done it.
He's not coaching the 49ers.
But Kevin, you should. But
1 good season. 1 good season, and you're gonna say Dan Campbell took a team from hell to the risen up to the mountaintops? The Eagles were shit. We had 1 season with Nick Foles. That's why you always see two jerseys behind me. 1 good Super Bowl, 1 good season.
I think what
You can say they both picked up shit. One person picked shit over the finish line.
If a bunch of these coaches tomorrow were just randomly let go from their team, I don't think Sirianni is at the top of everyone's list.
I don't know why. He has the same amount of rings as Sean Payton and Sean McVay. The guys that and Jim and John Harbaugh. But I mean, hey, what does Kevin know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's what does Kevin knows. What do GMs
know?
know?
Is in the coaching portal. The only guy that really
he wasn't. He was a guy who was in the coaching portal. Nobody wanted him.
Top tier, and that's fucking Big Red. Every other coach, it's pick and play. I get it.
All right.
Shaun mentioned Mike Tomlin. When we were in middle school, he was winning Super Bowls. We're all way, way, way past middle school. Toddy got a kid. Like, we're way past being in middle school, going to the lunch line.
And he's still the coach of the Steelers. That should stand for something.
Going 9-8?
I mean, yeah, considering that he's never had a losing season, it's not like we talk about, the 49ers went 6-11 this past season. No, in 2020, they went 6-10. That shit happens more often than not. And so despite everything, the fact that Mike Tomlin has gone all this time without a losing season, he's been the coach of the Steelers for like 20 years, and he's never had a losing season. That should be commended, whether if he has one Super Bowl or not. That's what I wouldn't necessarily say that's sustained greatness, but that's sustained winning. And that's what we all want for our team. And Kevin, the last thing that I have to say about this, and the reason why I was driving home the point about the difference of Dan Campbell winning a Super Bowl for the Lions versus the Eagles winning their second. And you should know this as a Sacramento Kings fan. If/when the Kings finally get their one, that one will be the biggest moment in this city's history. That's what it would be for Detroit. Detroit has won championships in basketball. They've won championships in baseball, but they've never won it with the Detroit Lions. And so that's why it would be such a big deal.
Competitive. You can't compare the Lions to the Kings.
Yes, you can. What makes you think that
Matthew Stafford and Megatron were going to the playoffs every year? The Kings don't do that.
They weren't going to the playoffs every year, if I remember correctly. I remember multiple wild card exits for Matt Stafford on the Detroit
wild card exits. You can't party in the dance if you can't get in.
Yeah, and the Kings are
back in the line, the line outside the door.
Well, for years, the Kings would always be compared with the Cleveland Browns. Like the Kings were the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. And that's definitely more accurate. But you get the point. The Kings have never won a championship. The Lions have never won a championship. Both fan bases are starved for it. So that's why, yes, the Eagles have only won one before Nick Sirianni, but it still won. It wasn't the first one. Because that's why Dougie P is a legend for life in Philadelphia. Exactly. Because he got that first
Sirianni
one.
gets statue, Kev?
See, that's the big difference too. Is that Sirianni won a Super Bowl? Sirianni has done the same thing as Peterson, but it wasn't the first. So that statue, it's not as guaranteed.
He'll definitely. I mean, because he's not going to finish with one.
So. I knew Kevin was going to say that. I knew he was going to say that. As we keep things moving here on episode 144 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon, Toddy, and Kevin Dent. Kevin, you want to jump in real quickly before we get to the NBA?
James just keeps coming back. He keeps coming back for more and more. So he said, I wasn't backing out of the question. It doesn't really matter. His team went 9-8, stuck into the playoffs. Teams do it all the time. Isn't James a Niner fan?
Yes.
Y'all didn't do it, so everyone doesn't do it. Let's move on.